Hey, spooky friends, and welcome to The Three Twisted Sisters with Britt.
Kayla, and Alexandra.
In tonight's episode, we will be talking all about familiars. But before we get into that, how are you guys doing?
Good.
How's your week been?
It's been pretty fun, not gonna lie. The call me crazy. Other night,
Crazy.
rude. The other night, I was like, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, you know what? I want some cake and a watermelon. So, got in my car, went to the HEB, love it, and I got their sliced watermelon and their carrot cake and some other groceries. I was there and I was like, I need this, I need that, I need this.
Kayla always goes on and on about that damn grocery store, I swear. What
I
is
love
it about it?
It's the bee's knees. That's what it is.
It's healthy shit. I don't know what it stands for.
Oh, I have no idea what HEB stands for, but it's a store and it stands for greatness.
Oh, here everything's better.
Here, everything's better.
Something like that.
That's some Texas shit to say. Here, everything's better.
Yeah.
I didn't
really,
know that.
it's awesome.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I actually really didn't know that.
Now you do. The more you know. My week was good. So Alex's birthday is coming up. So I thought I was done getting her presents, but I found one that is perfect. She
Please tell me.
can't know until her birthday.
Please tell me.
No.
Can
How
I guess it?
fun.
If I guess it, will you tell me?
Yeah, but you won't guess it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
God bless America.
Yep. How was your week, Britt?
It's been good. It's been super, super hot here, but we kind of went all in this weekend and got the backyard cleaned up and just like ready to enjoy the heat because it's not going anywhere. So, yeah, we did that with the kids, and then the kids and I, we did friendship bracelets with beads and stuff.
That's super cool.
That is cool.
So should I get mine in the mail?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, those things, I forgot how long friendship bracelets with the beads, how long they take to make.
Do they
Like,
take
my
a long
gosh.
time?
I felt like they did. Maybe I was just really out of practice, but it took
Did
a
you
minute.
use like the little beads or the big beads?
Little beads.
Mm.
So you have to like, you have to
first
like
mistake.
carefully thread. Exactly. You have to like carefully thread it through, and it's like, oh my gosh, years later, and then you have to trim it if it gets all frayed. Yeah, whole thing. But it was fun. I'm trying to come up with like fun little things to do with the kids, just to kind of be like, you know, fun thing during the week. But so that was last week's.
Nice. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Anyhow, let's get back onto today's topic. Alexandra, tell us all about familiars.
So, for those of you who don't know, a familiar is a spirit or demon that serves or prompts an individual, and they come in forms of an animal. And yes, I said a demon. Okay, I know what I said, but they're not all bad, okay? And they have been around for like years. Like they're in all different types of cultures, and they've been there. And they're typically most known for either protecting or kind of guiding an individual. However, back in like the witch hunt eras where they're like, I'm gonna get you for being a witch, they all thought that like the devil sent these familiars. And it's like, no, like that wasn't the case, right? And like they had like these weird stories that they made up, like if a witch had like an irregular birthmark, it's like that's where the familiar would take her blood for the energy that they needed. Yeah, like, it was outlandish. So the cool thing is you don't have to have a pet to have the ability to have a familiar. And one of the ways to figure out what your familiar is to do it through meditation. And you could do it two ways. You can try doing like your favorite animal. So like, let's say for me, for example, it would be a bear. So like I would go into meditation, just fully focused on communicating or bringing in my familiar bear. And another way that you could do it, if you don't like, let's say you don't have a favorite animal, it would be picturing just like a gang of animals, like just a whole bunch of them. And in those group of animals, like your familiar will come out to you. Like you will be able to like, oh, that's my familiar.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Another way you can see what kind of familiar you have is you get signs, essentially. So like, let's say you're consistently seeing the same bird on a daily basis. Like that's a sign, like that's your familiar. And mine's coming on my lap right now. Totally what I wanted. However, they are domestic familiars. And there's like 3 things to remember when it comes to a domestic familiar, meaning like a household pet. That it doesn't have to be like your typical like black cat to be your familiar. It can be any kind of animal that you get, whether it's like a dog, a bird, a reptile, as long as you feel that connection, because it's different from just having a regular pet. Second is not everyone really needs a familiar. So you can't like, just to keep that in the back of your head, like not every pet also is going to be a familiar.
Yeah.
And to really kind of set your familiar apart from a pet is to trust your intuition. You'll feel the connection versus with just a pet. Like, yes, you're going to love your pet, but with your familiar, it's kind of a different bond. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper on what the bond kind of feels like, because it's like, what? Like, it's still an animal, you know? But when you have this bond with your familiar, it's not like a pet and owner type of relationship. It's more like, I can't coexist without you, essentially. It's like you guys are like mended.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And, like you guys are there to help each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like whether it's through like teaching each other, learning, or guiding each other, like you guys are there as a unit, essentially.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
So to essentially summarize what a familiar relationship is with a human is they're put together so that they can improve each other's life experiences that otherwise, like, alone they wouldn't be able to. Like, they wouldn't be capable of having the life that they truly want without each other.
Aww.
And I think a really good kind of reference for that is Marley and Me.
Really?
Explain that. Explain that a little.
Here's why
That
I
was
say
not the reference I was thinking.
really.
Yeah.
Yes, explain it.
So here's why I say Marley and Me. I know it's not like your typical like familiar like what's the Sabrina
Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Yeah, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like, it's not your typical, like, oh, like, that's for sure her familiar. But I feel like this one does a really good job at you being able to see what a relationship would be like from the outside versus on the inside. Because although the dog doesn't talk to him, he gets the dog right before he gets into that relationship with, I don't remember the name of the actress of like who she was playing, but it was Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I was Jennifer Aniston.
I don't remember like the name of the character.
Right.
Before that, his life wasn't going too hot.
Yeah.
Like his job was kind of like he was hating it. He wasn't in a relationship, and then he got in a relationship, and he got a bunch of career promotions, like got what he wanted, got that beautiful house with his 3 kids, and like the dog was there for all of it. And then when the guy was finally like, okay, like this is what I want, essentially, the dog was like, well, I did what I came here to do to help you.
Yeah.
And like in return, Marley got a pretty good life as well.
Oh.
That's a good one. Good answer. Good answer.
Yes. Claps.
Thank you.
Interesting.
I like that one.
My, like, when I think of familiars, I jump to, I mean, obviously Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's like, of course you're going to think of that one. But I also think of like Kiki's Delivery Service. And it's kind of the same thing because it's like a little teenage witch and her black cat. But that's what I think of. And just like your helper, like through anything like spiritual.
So I had a completely different reference. I was thinking of this dark and creepy show, Salem. I loved it. It is such a great show. If you haven't seen it, it's wonderful. I think when I watched it, it was actually on Hulu. So it might be on there. Yeah.
I haven't seen it. So like, can I have like a little understanding?
Yes. Okay. So it's mainly about this one woman main character, Mary, and she is growing up in Salem, and her love interest is Shane West from A Walk to Remember.
Oh,
So, yes. So they're like teenage loves, whatever. They're like young adults. He gets sent off to war, and while he's gone, she gets forced to marry, or she thought that he had died, and so she this is the first episode. Just quick breakdown, synopsis, something. So she is forced into this position where I'm either going to be like a peddler or I have to marry someone because the love of my life is gone. I'm pregnant. So she was like a little bit pregnant.
Like a little bit? Like what's a little bit? Like half
only kind of pregnant.
Yeah, just like a little. But so to kind of like give her the power she needed to take control over the society that had fucked her over and fucked women over, whatever. She was like very, I don't know, I liked her character, but except this part, she goes into the middle of the woods with her close friend Tituba, and they do a ritual where she essentially gives her unborn baby to Satan in return for the power and stuff that she needed.
Yikes.
That's wild.
But it is so good because
wait, okay, hang on. So during the Salem witch trials, wasn't that the name of the woman that the little girls were saying
brought them into the forest and they were dancing naked?
Yeah.
Question.
They used a lot of the same like historical names.
Oh, that's cool.
Question.
Yeah.
So is the baby the familiar?
No.
It
Sorry.
was like
that's like the
like you
story.
give your soul to
Yes,
the devil, but
yes.
that they gave.
That was my little synopsis. So, and she's not the only witch in town, obviously. They have, I mean, the witch trials are happening, but it's a really cool perspective. Excuse me. It's kind of like that joke people say like, oh, a real witch wouldn't have gotten caught.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of vibe. Okay, so to get back to the familiar reference, it's pretty heavy saturated into the plot of this show because all of the witches are essentially, they have their power because of the devil, right? So their familiars are more of the demonic kind where they are possessed by some sort of demon that does their bidding for them. And in exchange from their little birthmark thing, it's kind of gross, but it's almost like a suckling action nipple kind of thing that they put their animals to and let them drink from. And it's never like clarified whether it's blood or milk, but they do
milk out of like a birthmark.
Yes, so it gets like drawn up almost like a way for them to suckle on.
That is so weird.
I hate the word suckle.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's a good word, suckle.
Like if you're talking about like a honeysuckle, like the flower, cute. But if you're like suckle this, I'm like no.
And the familiar suckled on her spot. Yeah. Also, the animals that their familiars could be on this particular show were either cats, rats, bird, or toad, like that kind of realm. But it was interesting because there would be times where they would like show them feeding their little familiar and then the familiar going and doing their bidding for them. So that was like pretty big on that show. And then Sabrina the Teenage Witch as well. That was obviously a big reference, especially the newer adaptation of it kind of, shows like the importance of familiars. And one of the ants familiars is spiders. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I would be like, can I have another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, actually, this is not for me.
your brain though, but not
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
In that show, in that Sabrina, are they, did they get their familiars kind of the same way? Do they talk about that?
So basically, from if my memory is correct,
because this new Sabrina is a lot more dark. Like it's really dark and creepy,
I
right?
actually haven't seen it.
oh, it's so I like it. It's fun. It's dark, more like the comics, and it's by the same people who make Riverdale, so it's kind of got
Intense.
that like
That teenager, drama,
yeah, exactly.
Vampire
it's, like,
Diaries.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't hate. That kind of vibe, but it's fun. I like it. Same kind of thing. Like after a witch gets their powers, they go into the Sabrina went into the forest and did a spell like beckoning her familiar to her. And outside of this was what I thought was kind of interesting. Outside of their animal form, they're almost like little goblins. They look like little goblins.
So they show what they look like when they're not in their animal form?
Yes.
How is that,
Like
only
pretty
when
consistent?
is it only when they first become their familiar?
Okay, so spoiler alert. I'll just show you guys this picture, but
Now we see the lamp.
Ew, what?
Ew, wow.
When you said little goblin,
I thought like
a tiny little troll.
thing with like a
No.
Not like a grown ass
like
man.
so rude. of
Ew,
you not
that
to
is
warn
gross.
us.
I wanted to show you guys for a reason. I mean, in my head I thought they were kind of cute, but maybe that's just my weird,
Twisted.
yeah,
Weird,
twisted side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, that was creepy.
Mhm.
Sorry. But yeah, that's where my head went. Mine wasn't in the super sweet and innocent light side. I was like, oh yeah, this is a badass. It still is badass, I think. Yeah. Now, would you say, because a lot of people, across cultures and stuff like that, when we're talking about it was a sign,
Mhm.
do you consider like animals, when people see a certain animal and it's like, oh, it's a sign? Is that
100%.
like a
Yeah.
spiritual message in your opinion, or would you say that's a familiar, or like how would you
Can't they be
categorize it?
both?
It could be both. What I would say most likely is that it's an animal spirit guide.
Okay.
Yeah, because like one spirit guide that I have is like a raven or a crow.
Mhm.
And so when I see a raven or a crow, I know that that's my guides trying to talk to me. So that's I actually had a really cool side note. I had a really cool reading with this medium off of TikTok, Kendra Fierce, and the night before our reading, she had a dream that I think she like gave birth to a crow or something, and then it like was a huge crow and it hugged her. And it was so interesting when we were having our conversation or whatever, and then I was like, well, yeah, like I see like crows and ravens, like that's my spirit animal. And then she was like, shut up, she like lives in Canada. She was like, I've never ever see crows or ravens, and last night this was the dream I had. And I was like, that's crazy. So I think in that, for my own personal opinion, I think that would be a spirit animal.
I only ask because I do often see little animals and kind of interpret it as a spirit message or something like that. And the last couple of years, I actually lost what I would call my familiar. My little shadow was what he was for sure. But like the last, I would say like 4 months or so, we get a lot of birds in Southern California. I wonder why. And so there just happens to be crows that hang out in the neighborhood, And so a couple times I've got like quacked, not quacked, but cawed at them. And so it's funny occasionally, like daily, I would say occasionally, at least once a day, they come to our fireplace and sit on the fireplace and caw down, and I'll like caw back up to them. Although Chip hates it. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Knock it the fuck off.
Poor Chippy.
Yeah.
What I think of when like you lost your quote familiar, from what I've always heard about familiars is that, like you said with Marley and me, like they are with you for a certain amount of time to help you both get through something. And then when it's time for them to leave, like when you've reached that point in your spiritual journey, then they leave, which is so sad. It's
Super
so
sad.
hard.
It's like, you're good. See you later. You're like, no, like I still need you. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's sweet because I'll still see him like in my dreams and stuff. So that's
super cute.
Sweet. But how about you, Alex?
For my spirit animal?
Or your familiar.
Oh, my familiar. I'm sorry. What did I say? Spirit animal. My apologies. It's not even a question. It's not even like a question. But my familiar is Marvel. If you guys have been here, you know who she is. She's my dog. She's my daughter. And there's no doubt in my mind that she's not. Just with the way that everything laid out, how I got her, when I got her. A little bit of a backstory. When I had gotten her, I had recently just been like promoted at my job. And then I had moved into my own apartment by myself. And it's like, it's scary, you know? And one of the workers where I was at was like, I'm giving dogs out for free. And I was like, oh, like, no, I'm good. And then I somehow named her. And she's like, well, it's your dog now. And I was like, oh. Yeah, like, yeah, I guess so. And then when I got her, she was kind of sick. And I kind of helped her get through that. And like 2 months or 3 months after I'd gotten her, like we had just gotten hit by COVID. And we were in a lockdown. And like without her, I would have been like completely alone. Like, yeah. And then I've gone through a pretty rough like year and a half, like mentally, physically, and emotionally. And if I hadn't had her there, like I don't know how things would have been.
Yeah.
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah. She's such a mama's girl too.
Yeah.
She is. Marvel has more accessories than I do.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. That's so true.
She needs them.
Yeah.
But my beckoning call for her is Avengers Assemble.
Oh yeah.
Like knows to come. She's like, okay.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
And what about you, Kay?
Yeah, so I do believe that I have my familiar with me now. Really, I've said it since I first got him, and it was kind of the same way. Like, I wasn't looking for an animal. I had kind of said it a couple times, like, man, I really want a cat, because I was also going through a lot. Like, when COVID hit, it changed everyone's lives, and certain things happened, and it made it really difficult. And I was working a lot, so I didn't want to get a puppy or a dog. So I decided like, oh, maybe I'll get a cat. And I kind of said it for a few months. And then I opened Facebook one day, and one of my friends, she's an ASPCA foster mom, and she had 3 new kittens, and they were so cute. But one picture in particular, when I saw him, it was like I knew I was supposed to have him. And I was like, oh crap. And before I even realized what was happening, I commented on it, and I was like, yeah, I need him. And then I messaged her, and I was like, yeah, when can I get him? And the first time I met him, I mean, we were just so connected. And right now, so he's been with me for a little over a year now, and he's just a baby. But when I first got him, I was going through a lot of changes, deciding if I was going to switch careers and move across the country. and what I was going to do and how everything was going to play out. And so he was with me 24/7. Excuse me. He meditates with me. He's always with me whenever I'm doing anything spiritual, when I'm grounding, when I'm meditating, when I'm reading my tarot, anything like that. He's right on top of me. He'll like chew on my tarot cards while I'm reading them. I'm like, stop. So I think he's really connected in that way. We have a connection. And right now he has, we found out a couple months ago that he has a genetic disorder that even the vets are like, I've never seen this in a cat this young before. And unfortunately, in September, we are going to have to remove his leg, one of his back legs. So I think that you telling that story, or the definition of it, saying that they help you and you help them, I'm definitely going to be helping him with that. But all the prayers are, good thoughts and positivity, send it our way, because poor little Howley Bear is just going through it.
And he's such a sweet cat.
Yeah, he
and
is.
I met mean cats.
Yeah. You don't have a very good
You've been taken down by some familiars there.
Yeah.
Pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, he's a really good cat, and he's got a great personality. Like, not the traditional cat that's like vicious and mean and hates everyone. Like, if you're willing to pet him,
typical cat,
3 hours, he is like, I will be all up in your face, and he is just a love bug, and he gets along with everyone except he only gets along with one dog, and it's Marvel.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And they're so adorable together, because they'll come up like nose to nose and give like the butterfly kiss, and then like Hal like step out and he'll like square up on Marv, but he's like, oh, like I'm just joking, and then he'll like swat her and then run away, and like Marv's just like, what?
Yeah. And then what's really funny is we're like, Howl, and then when it's reversed, when he's like laying down all out because he's got like, his broken leg, and he's just like chilling, and she comes up and tries to mess with him, we're like, Marvel, no, like, don't do that. He's a baby. He's broken.
Oh my
gosh. And he just lays there and takes it. And the other day, it was like a week or two ago, that was happening, and we're like, Marvel, no. And then he sits up and just like, pop, 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 and then lays back down. And I was like, you little shit. Like, Howl, no. Marvel, no. It's like, yeah, they're
back
fun.
And forth.
Yeah, they're fun animals to have in the house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Every time we meditate or anything, both of them really are just right on us. Like, no matter what we're doing when it comes to like spiritual stuff, or like the thunderstorms. Oh my gosh. Like, you would think these two animals would be like, screw this, I'm out. But we'll be sitting on the back porch watching like a crazy thunderstorm, and they're like out there with us. And Howl will just like, he'll scour the grass to the point where I'm chasing him like, there's lightning, get your ass inside. And he's just like, that's his prime time.
Yeah.
He's looking for spiders.
He does. He's such a good boy, eating all the spiders and the flies in the world. Yeah, so that was our episode on familiars. If you guys have any stories that you want to share with us, whether it's about familiars or just anything spooky you want us to talk about, definitely send us a message. Our email is 3twistedsisterspodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at _3twistedSisters. Or if you're not watching this on YouTube, you can also check out our YouTube, where all of our podcasts are on video, at 3 Twisted Sisters Podcast on YouTube.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, definitely like and subscribe so that we can keep on bringing you guys more 3 Twisted Sisters.
So we hope you guys take care and stay
twisted.